Ease. Okay. Well, hmm. Okay. Well, let's see. According to progress, should be good. Okay, welcome to another episode of Cosmic Conjunctions, the intersection of UAPs and early world religions. I'm your host, Rick Medrin, and I'd like to welcome our guest host. She's a certified UFO investigator, field investigator, the director of Tucson Mufon, and a leader within the Tucson Paranormal Society. She has a passion for learning and collecting paranormal stories. And she also has interests in giants, treasure hunting, forbidden archaeology, metaphysics, and cryptids, and a partridge in a pear tree. She has a bachelor's in media arts. She's worked in television production for 10 years and has a degree in industrial design. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Karen Hill. How are you, Karen?
Good. Hi. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
All right. Well,
How are you?
excellent. Uh, let's dive right in, and I want to get into the meat and potatoes of this thing. Uh, Tucson is well known for its UAP activity over the Catalina Mountains and a little community called Picture Rocks for its
Hmm.
1,500-year-old petroglyphs. Now, Arizona in general is very well known, Sedona in particular, for its sightings and vortex activity. Tell me what you know about Tucson's activity in your very interesting story about Sedona and Bradshaw Ranch.
hmm well, I feel like there's a lot of uncovered history in Tucson because I've recently heard a bit about the conquistadors here hiding gold, and I know that there have been petroglyphs found that date back to the Roman Empire, and they have found a bunch of lead crosses and swords that have 800 AD written on them, and that geologist Scott Walter looked at them and confirmed the date of like how old they are, and so there's kind of like a wait, what has been happening in Tucson? How old are we? I know we have the oldest church in America, which is cool. Um, but I guess as far as UFO activity,
Mhm.
we see orbs like every night. Like if you just go out and you don't always need night vision goggles, but if you just go out and look above the Catalina Mountains or west of Tucson, you'll see weird just lights just kind of floating by and then just phase out. It's
Wow.
pretty interesting.
I lived on the west side for a long time, and I would
Mhm.
stand out there, but I guess I didn't I didn't have the patience, of like, okay, come on, let's go, let's go, let's go. Nothing, and I'd go back inside, and I never really saw anything. But I mean, maybe I did because I did see, satellites going by and things like that. But I don't, I wouldn't know. Um, Now
Mhm.
you're telling me that the Tucson is well known for the activities and history. What part of town
Mhm.
is the history coming from?
I would say the western part where the Tucson Mountains are, and
Wow.
then it probably jumps a little bit over to the northwest end of the Catalina Mountains.
Okay. I again, I lived out there. Now, not Painted Hills, Picture Rocks is out that way,
Hmm.
and they've got
Hmm.
petroglyphs that have dated back 1,500 years or so. And there's been more. My brother has actually seen some things out there, and he's seen some orbs on the west side of town. He lives out there, so he
Hmm.
he saw some orbs not too long ago, and told me about it. And he said, "I don't
Cool.
know what they were, but they were not uh, of this earth. At least that's what he thought." So it's kind of
Mhm.
interesting. Now, tell me about Sedona and the Bradshaw Ranch.
So I guess Bob Bradshaw bought the property in 1960, and he and his wife lived on it for maybe like 50. ish years. And then one year in like the early 2000s, the government bought their ranch and five other ranches about uh, near the same area. But it was kind of like they almost like forced them off their property and gave them a lot of money so they kind of wouldn't refuse. But it right now it's vacant. Like all the homes, the houses, the fences, the structures are all still there. And I think it's Flagstaff University uses part of it for agriculture,
Hmm.
but the Bradshaw Ranch is said to be like Utah's Skinwalker Ranch. Like it's our paranormal ranch that has a lot of cryptid, and Bigfoot, UFO, and ET sightings on it.
Wow. Now the secrets to Skinwalker Ranch has, shot some video out there. Have they shot
Hmm.
video out at Bradshaw Ranch, or have I just missed it?
Yes. No, they shot two episodes out there
Wow, that's right. I
on the
think,
first season of Beyond Skinwalker.
yeah. Wow, it's very, very interesting. What really boggles my mind is how they can, on their instruments, see activity, and yet when they just look, they don't see anything. They went up in the helicopter in Skinwalker
Mhm.
Ranch. The helicopter moved around, and they didn't see anything. It was
Hmm.
really, really interesting. Now, in your bio, you mentioned your interest in giants. Tell me about that.
Yes. Um, so I listened to Terry Carter on YouTube, and his story is he just kind of goes around interviewing miners and people looking for gold for their stories. And I guess while these people are out looking for gold, they come across like ancient artifacts or Bigfoot or UFOs or giant skulls. And the giant skulls definitely piques my interest. And I feel like Utah and possibly northern Arizona could have been a hotspot for giants. And like I've heard
That's
a lot of stories of like caves being found with giant skeletons or giant shoes and just fun stuff.
Yeah, I've seen some of the shows where they show like size 15 shoes and whatnot. They might have had a
Hmm.
heck of a basketball team if they had lived long enough. Now, there's been more and more evidence of
Yeah.
giants that roamed the earth thousands of years ago, but you tell me that
Hmm.
there's evidence in Arizona and in southern Utah, and that fact has gotten by me. I don't know how. So
Hmm.
it's very, very interesting. Have you seen anything personally? Have you personally seen?
Have I personally seen
Yeah.
things? No, I've only been to Utah once, and I definitely want to go again. But I had a pen pal out there who he was friends with John Brewer, and John Brewer found this cave in Utah, and inside there were bodies that had really interesting ornate like jewelry, like they're like mummies.
Hmm.
And he I don't know if he drew it or if he found someone to come in, but like they sketched out what they saw, and I think there was like a book or something made about it. But like the images I've seen a lot of places on the internet, and then the gold that was in the brewer's cave. But there's kind of shadow around it because like John Brewer's obviously dead and he didn't tell anyone where it was and no one can find it again. So people are looking for it again.
Oh man. That always seems to be the case. It's like somebody has some knowledge and then they die and they forget to fill out paperwork and let people know, where it's just so frustrating. Um, well, you supplied me with a photo of a UFO hiding in the clouds. Can you tell me where and when that was taken?
I don't know when or where that was taken. That just kind of uh it just surfaced online, but it definitely reminded me of Dwayne Ollinger, who's the owner of a blind frog ranch, and
Hmm.
he has a famous story of how on his property he him and his buddies were standing at the edge of it looking at like all of their mine equipment because they just went and dug down and pulled up some blue dirt. And
Hmm.
then he saw like three ships like around him, like just above him, and then he said like they were just off gassing and then they just became clouds. And he was just like, I would not believe it if I didn't see it for myself. And so
Wow.
like that picture was the closest thing that I could find that I'm sure like what Dwayne saw.
Well, that's kind of interesting because that leads us to our overall theme of the intersection of UAPs and early world religions. Regarding the
Hmm.
Ten Commandments, the pillars of fire that appeared at night
Hmm.
could have been a propulsion system, and clouds that the Jews, followed through the desert during the day may have been that same kind of cloaking, technology. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's very possible. And then at night, less people were up, so they were probably sleeping. So maybe they fired off their spaceships or rockets or whatever. It's kind
Hmm.
of interesting. There are numerous pictures of UAPs hiding in the clouds that I've seen. Um, I've seen the one where they're in Washington at Mount Shasta, and it puts out like a smoke ring, but it's miles from Mount Shasta. And then there's
Hmm.
another video that takes place where that original smoke ring then gets turned into something else. And there's no other clouds in the sky. That's what's so weird about it.
Hmm.
There's just nothing there, and all of a sudden this thing appears, and then it morphs into something else. It's very, very interesting. Well, the other thing about our theme is Moses and the Ten Commandments. Moses came down from Mount Sinai with a glowing face, and
Yeah.
it makes you wonder if maybe he was burnt by radiation or something like that.
Yeah. It also said he had aged. So like if he saw some sort of really powerful like force, I'm sure that could have just like radiated him and like made him look weathered and glowing.
Yeah. I mean, it's really possible that, there's stories of people that are very fearful that instantly they go gray, or they start growing gray hair because they're so
Hmm.
overwhelmed by the look of it. That's kind of interesting. Much
Hmm.
later on in history, there's another piece of evidence that the Star of David led the wise men or magi to the birthplace of Jesus. Now, stars
Hmm.
are stationary, and even in those times, ancient people would have known that because they stared at the sky all the time. But the stars seem
Hmm.
to lead people and provide direction. And the three wise men were widely considered to be Zoroastrians. Now, Zoroastrianism was a prominent religion in Persia during the time, and their scriptures mention a wise Lord and teachings about the Holy Spirit, matching up with the biblical depiction of Magi's journey to the birthplace of Jesus. The interesting thing is that the god of the Zoroastrians was literally a guy flying a disc in the sky. And if you can take a look at it, Ahura Mazda was the Zoroastrian god, and he's carved all over ancient Persia and modern day Iran. And he's literally a guy flying around in a winged disc with landing gear. I mean, it doesn't take much
Hmm.
to discern that when you look at it. It's very, very interesting. Well, what's new for MUFON in Tucson? What is next on the horizon?
The May 10th in 4 days, I have Nick Pope scheduled to talk, and he is a regular on Ancient Aliens.
He's fantastic. I love that guy.
Yeah.
I,
Hmm.
I think he leads so much credence to he lends so much credence to the the talk of UFOs because he was in the uh, British Royal Defense Minister, right?
Prime Ministry of Defense.
Yeah, that's right.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think he's very fantastic. So that would be great. And then what else? What else do you have planned for throughout the year?
Um, I guess I haven't filled out my calendar yet, so I'm definitely still looking for speakers for the remainder of the year. But in June, I have a Bigfoot cryptid UFO hunter from Sedona. His name is his alias is Hoodoo Tall, so that should be exciting.
That's neat. Now, what was I going to ask you? I was going to ask. Oh, CE5. Tell me about
Yeah.
your involvement in CE5 and how you got involved with that.
Um, so I guess I watched Dr. Stephen Greer's 2 hour documentary on it, and I really wanted to do it because it sounded really fun. And I didn't know where to look, so I downloaded the app, and no one really responded back. And then I saw like a C5 Phoenix page, but it was years old and no one had made any new like comments on it. And
Hmm.
so I created the Arizona C5 Network Facebook page,
Hmm.
and now I think there's 700 people. But I just made an event. I said, hey, I lived in Phoenix at this time, but I was just like, hey, if you want to do C5, let's do one at the Apache Wash Trailhead in North Phoenix, and we'll just see what happens. And I think like 8 people showed up, which is like a good size group, and it was fun. And I was surprised at the turnout. And then like I just had one for like every month after that, and then we followed Stephen Greer's dates, where he picks one date out of the month for everyone to do this worldwide.
Hmm.
And I don't know, I've probably led over a dozen ones, and like I have night vision goggles, generation 3, and so like I see way more than everyone else sees around me. But the most impressive things to happen at my CE5 groups is when everyone feels something. So like one girl said that she felt a warm hug from behind,
Hmm.
and there were some other girls who were like, I also felt that. And my forehead, like my third eye, felt unusually hot, and I couldn't explain like all of this. And I'm like, well, this was fun. I don't know what happened, but I guess no harm, no foul.
Well, for our uninitiated listeners, CE5 stands for Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, right?
Hmm. Yes, which is a human-based consciousness contacting ETs, benevolent ETs.
I saw one of Stephen Greer's shows on A&E, and I remember he had pictures, like or stop action pictures of high speed camera, and a lot of them were um, like pixies or kind of depicted as uh, pixies or um, what is the word I'm looking for? I can't. Anyhow, it was really interesting because I had never seen the CE5 demonstration, and I saw that and I wanted to get involved. So maybe I'll get involved with yours. I think that would be a whole heck of a lot of
Sure.
fun.
Yeah. Hmm. I still do one every month so far in Tucson, and we had one last Saturday, and there was a really cool light that just it powered up for us. So like it was like really dim, and like everyone was like looking at it, and then like the light just got so big, and then it just like got normal and then just disappeared.
Wow, wow. Well, there's
Hmm.
out here in Las Vegas where I'm living now. Should be a
Hmm.
lot of activity. I've just recently moved here, so I haven't plugged in yet. But I'm going to get involved and see how much more I can take out of the community and spread the word. Well, Karen, it's
Yeah.
been a pleasure having you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'd like to have you back again
Hmm.
in a couple of months, and we'll go over some of the new activities and what you're doing. All right. Sound good?
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks. Take care.
Okay. Good. That's better.
Cool.
I think that was a lot smoother than last time.
Yeah, I feel like we covered more also.
Yeah. I figured I'd write some better notes. And I'm still new at this. This is only my third one, so I mean, I didn't even know how to make a website or anything, so I had to learn everything, how to make a website, how to use Descript, how to I mean, just a ton
Yeah.
of stuff. So I'm still kind of new at this, but I got a decent amount of subscribers and listeners for the first two episodes, so it's
Cool.
growing. So,
Awesome.
well, thank you so much. Really, I really appreciate it.
Hmm.
I
Yeah, it
will.
was fun.
I'll talk to you soon, and I'll keep you in my emails and whatnot.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Thanks, Karen.
Thanks.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
All right. Let's see. Okay.